Well, it's hard to describe a positive for the virus, but in terms of relative negativity, we're less concerned at present about this virus than we were with SARS. The reaction on the part of the Chinese government to try to control the potential spread of this virus is understandable. For those of us who were in China in 2003, it was devastating. I mean, streets were empty, the economy was in a tailspin, as you've already said, travel was way down, and they want to ensure that nothing like that recurs. We don't have any evidences yet that this virus, I'm sorry?
Why are we relatively less concerned? Is it less contagious? Is it less severe?
Well, I think both of those pertain. So if you think in terms of infectivity with SARS, there would be people who would pass through a lobby or a hotel hallway and might become infected. The infections that we've been able to detect thus far, for the most part, we can link them to some sort of more intimate contact between somebody who's infected and somebody who's not. So the transmissibility may be less. The jury's still out on that, but that may be the case. And the individuals who've shown signs of very, very severe disease or fatalities have been individuals who are either elderly or who have some underlying medical condition. That's never 100% the case, but that's very different than when we saw with SARS, where we had young, healthy people who actually developed severe disease and in some instances died.
Dr. Lipkin, I'm curious because right now influenza is rampant in my kids' elementary school. I looked it up on the CDC, estimating this season's flu has killed more than 6,600 people in the United States alone and has infected as many as 18 million. When you look at those numbers, can you describe why we're seeing such an incredible response in China to quarantine cities, multiple cities?
As I said earlier, in 2003, and it's what happened in Beijing, for example, was devastating. When I was there, the streets were deserted. The mayor had been fired. There was a general notion countrywide that people had lost faith in government. Similarly, people thought that China was not being transparent in sharing the information. So the Chinese are being quite forthright and eager to demonstrate that things are different now.
Dr. Lipkin, final question. Is this curable? How quickly are we able to adapt and develop the drugs that would be necessary to potentially make sure there's not even a single further death?
Well, the most important tool that we have right now is isolation. To develop drugs means you actually have to grow the virus, screen large numbers of drugs, demonstrate that they're not only effective, but also safe to take. This is a process that takes months. The same thing is true with respect to vaccines. That would take us a year or more to do. So at present, our best tool, our best defense is people who are watchful, wary. If they reflect on whether or not they think they might be exposed to this particular virus, they voluntarily go in and get diagnosed to see whether or not they have this virus.